Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of Three Drams. I am delighted to be welcoming you all back to another fantastic episode, episode 23. I am delighted to be welcoming you to this monthly tasting schedule of trying some of the most fantastic and interesting Irish whiskies, where people are getting subscription kits all over the globe. Thanks to the fantastic guys at Irish Malt and Three Drams. Of course, they are one company bringing you some of the best Irish whiskies straight to your door. Everything we're going to taste tonight, as always, are available on Irish Malt. At the end of the show, if you are a subscriber, that will get a discount code to your inbox where you'll be able to get all three bottles, either individually or grouped together, to your door with a lovely discount. Very much big thanks to the guys at Irish Malt. They're the ones who put this on every month. They bring this all together in the background. They've got all the people in their team working to bring the spirit together, the producers together, get the kits together. And again, I know we talked about the change in packaging last month, but absolutely fantastic new kit from Three Drams. Remember, a fantastic idea for an old Christmas present for those who need it. But they are doing an absolute blinder of a job. As always, we have three fantastic whiskies to try this evening with three of Ireland's finest flavor makers and creators to talk you through not only the whiskies, but a little bit about the background of their business as well. Do keep in touch with Three Drams as the year goes on. I know next month we're going to have a really exciting tasting where we're going to taste through 3 years of the world's best Irish new make, which is the winners of the World Whiskey Awards new make category. So we're going to see 3 different single pot still new makes in next month's lineup. So that's going to be incredibly exciting to see the kind of future of Irish whiskey and single pot still as well. Do let us know as we're going through where in the world you are joining us from. And if you're tasting along with us, let us know what your tasting notes are of the whiskeys as we go along, because it's always good to see everyone's tastes are very subjective and a little bit different. And it's great to see what notes you're picking out of here as well. I'm seeing a lot of people coming through in the comment section already. A lot of people joining us on YouTube. There's always a great representation from Glanmire. I'm very big up to the old end there. I do see Gordon saying he's not from Glanmire, but temporarily relocated to Cove. So hello to you. We have our friends from Sneem in again as well this evening. There's always a big cohort from Sneem. With a lot of people coming from all over the country. We've got a few in from Germany as well. So as always, we will be representing the questions in from Germany. The sunny California, and there again there's even more folks coming in from Sneem and West Kerry. So we're gonna have a fantastic evening. I'm very much looking forward to speaking to everyone as we go along. And again, this is your chance, guys, to ask the questions to the flavor makers and creators, the things you want to know. As you see in the ticker on the bottom, if you have any questions, ask in the comments, because this is your chance. They're right in front of you. This is where we'll be able to say hello and ask the questions you want to them. So listen, you're not here to listen to me yabber on. We're here to drink some fantastic whiskies and learn a little bit about them. So without further ado, we have Dram number 1. We're joined by Darren Murphy from Black's Irish Whiskey, and we've got Black's Triple Threat Blend. Darren, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, doing really well. Yeah, it's been a good week, busy week. Okay, come towards the end of the month, putting the little baby to bed, so it's family time now as well. But I'm delighted to be here to share some info and some tasting with the Three Drams guys. So yeah, thanks a million for the invitation to be on here.
Absolutely. So it sounds like it's absolutely all go for you down there then.
Yeah, we're developing a new brewery and distillery site right now, so it's really busy in Kinsale. There's an awful lot going on there. Obviously, it's been a real busy summer locally. And then there aren't enough hours in the day. Trying to produce new and exciting ideas and products is always going on. Yeah, so I'm trying to grow the business. So yeah, it's busy time, but it's all good. It's all good.
Well, brilliant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show everyone now. This is Dram Ever 1 here now. Number 1. This is your Triple Threat Blend. I'm going to pour a little bit into my glass here now. I'm going to have a little nose of it out, and I invite everyone else to do it as well. But why don't you tell us, I suppose, a little bit about Black's and then into what we have in front of us here, because I'm going to pull up the picture of the bottle a really nice aesthetic on that bottle there. I'm a sucker for a well-designed package. So I've got my liquid here. So why don't you give us a little rundown about Blacks and then what we have in our glass?
Sure. Blacks was founded in 2013, so it's a family-owned business owned by Maud and Sam Black, and we kind of kicked off in the craft beer business. We're renowned for the Kinsale Pale Ale. That's probably the flagship beer brand, and I guess we always had aspirations to develop the business into the direction of spirits. So in 2015, like many others, we started making gin. We produced Ireland's first rum, which was a real cool thing, and we're full steam ahead in the whiskey business now as well. So we're sourcing whiskies and we're producing whiskies as well. So there's lots going on. As you mentioned, this is Triple Threat. The presentation is definitely somewhere to start. That we really wanted to create an image which was unique to Blacks. It's important that we create our own niche, that we have our own style. I think it's quite a modern approach. The brief the designers were given is to make the bottle jump off the shelf. So, and I think that's really important that we can, that we have our own image. It's quite unique. I think it's a beautiful bottle. We're really, really happy with how it turned out. And to the liquid inside, Triple Threat. Again, it's a 3 cask blend. So a bit of an edgy name, Triple Threat, I suppose, taking a little bit of inspiration from the whole craft beer thing. It's a virgin oak, bourbon, and sherry finished whiskey blend. And I think the idea was really to create something which would be unique on one side, but accessible on the other. I think it's a really approachable, really fun, and just having a little taste earlier on and thinking about it, it's quite a lively little whiskey, So it's a fun one. So if you have it in front of you, I'd love to have a taste with everyone. You can have a little look. It's quite a straw gold kind of color. I use it with. Cheers. Yeah, really approachable, really accessible. I find it anyway. But as you said at the beginning, Matt, it's about individual, flavor and taste and what have you. So there's no wrong answers really with it. So yeah, I normally use like a whiskey tasting wheel. I have a little look and see what it's a classic one. I have a look online, see what's there. And you have your core kind of fruity, floral, woody, cereal kind of flavor profiles. I mean, with this one, I have a little nose of it. I get the sherry note anyway, which is really, really nice. There's a kind of nutty sherry thing going on, which is lovely in the nose. And I'm getting some fruity notes as well. What are you thinking yourself, Matt? What's your impressions on the nose?
Well, on the nose, you're getting the classic sweetness, but the sherry is coming through. What I really like is the palate, because I'm getting all 3 elements. You're getting that bourbon sweetness and the sherry kind of fruitiness at the fore, kind of wrapped together, and then that virgin oak, that kind of that wood prickle comes through on the end, which is nice, because it's very, very rarely you'll pull or at least be able to experience all 3 of those elements together. I'm gonna take another little sip here and enjoy a second.
I'm going to join you. Yeah, lovely. I mean, the wood prickle is a nice way to describe it. It's that little lively, little, not quite spicy, but little clovey kind of little pop in the mouth there. It's really, really nice. It gives a nice character, and it does. I mean, it's great that the 3 casks are expressed, So that's quite clear. But at the same time, I think it's really nice drinkability, quite high drinkability, and yeah, it's a lovely, I suppose, beginning to a journey which we're hopefully going to take a lot of people on with our whiskies,
Absolutely, and not to backpedal too far, but I'm going to pull the bottle back up again, because that's something I do enjoy. Now, as you said, the designers were told to pull this off it has to stand out on the shelf,
right?
Or jump off the shelf. Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Yeah. Every designer in the world is given the brief to jump off the shelf. This jumps off the shelf. I just want, so I've been working in the whiskey world about 10 years,
Right.
Every design brief I've ever seen executed somewhere says it has to jump off the shelf.
Yeah.
That
Right.
that jumps off. Like, I'm gonna one more time. I love this bottle.
Well,
Like,
thanks a lot.
how distinctive it is. The multi-tones, the red bird on it as well coming through. The fact that the banderole neck strap follows through in the color. I think it's brilliantly executed, and I think fitting for the whiskey that's in the bottle as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the bird is obviously core to our identity, right? Blacks in the branding and what have you. And
Yeah.
we like to think that the bird is soaring. I suppose that's an aspirational thing, you know. Yeah, the kind of color tones. Obviously, the red is quite eye catching on the black background, which is great. But there is still a clear element in the bottle too, so you can see the liquid, which was nice. And I think it's again quite a modern approach. The little embossing at the bottom of the bottle is to represent the feathers of the bird, again to tie in with the whole branding. And yeah, blacks is embossed nice in the bottle. It's got a nice weight to it. It's quite quality bottle. So yeah, we're really happy with the presentation of it. And you're right, it's quite fitting to the liquid that's inside there as well. Ties into kind of the ethos of the organization, you know, because innovation is I mean, it's a word that's bandied around quite a lot, you know. We're innovative, we're creative, you know. We are trying to take things in a direction which we feel is exciting, is interesting, hopefully is somewhat fresh in the industry as well, and that we can cut out a little niche for our brand, and hopefully it resonates with you know, I guess an up and coming whiskey drinker, but not only an up and coming whiskey drinker, maybe people who are seasoned whiskey drinkers too, who want to, you know, explore something a little different. Hopefully we can offer that, you know.
Absolutely. And I suppose going forwards, I presume that this kind of branding, these bottles will become, or will continue to be the kind of core mainstay of the brand as it evolves into its, you know, very permanent home in a new distillery with new expressions and whatnot. And I presume that's the kind of idea that you're still going to pull from the craft beer elements as well, because that's a fun, one or two brands around the world try to do that in whiskey, and it can not be done well, and it can be done very well. And I think it works well here. So I presume that's all still going to be part of the family DNA as time goes on.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, in the core identity, this bottle will be the one which we'll move forward with, and there will be different expressions. Obviously, slight variations on the color scheme and what have you. But absolutely, yeah. And regarding the beer, yeah, we will try to play to what we feel is our strength there, you know, and bring different kind of beer styles to finish. Yeah, different kinds of whiskeys. I mean, we have done some, you know, let's say. We've had some fun with some single malt whiskies, which were, you know, the base whiskey was you know, pretty much the same, and then finished it in different beers, and you know, it gives a really nice, interesting complexity to the whiskey as well if it's done right. I mean, you're correct in what you say, because you know, it's great to have fun, it's great to be innovative and playful and creative, and but you know, you really got to have a drop that tastes great at the end of the day, because that's what, you know, your customer's expecting, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
Exactly. So I suppose for those going forward and tasting this whiskey, can you give us, I suppose, an indication of the kind of price point and where people might be able to find it around Europe or around the world? Of course, if you're not looking on Irish malts for some bizarre reason, you know, it's delivered right to your door. But if people are you know, out and about and they pop into a shop somewhere across Europe, across Ireland, where might people find it, and how much might this retail for?
You know, domestically it's retailing for around €40. You know, thereabouts. We don't have complete control on the price point, but that's kind of the recommended price point. As you said, you will find it online with Irish malts, which is great. We distribute through our distributor, Grand Cru Beers, so it'll be found nationally in all the Grand Cru Beer outlets. You know, local off licenses, bars, and what have you. Export wise, I mean, it's quite a new product. We do export to Germany, export to Finland, Poland, export to Dubai. So you see it in a lot of those markets, and many more, hopefully. It's kind of it's a product which we want to push forward into the export world more and more, you know. I heard you mentioned earlier there's a few German listeners or tasters with us, so wir gehen mein Whisky auch in Deutschland haben. We need to send it to Germany as well. We just exported some to Austria actually, which is great. So yeah, we're and working on loads of other angles as well. Yeah, so keep an eye out for it. But you can always follow us on our social media channels. That's a great way to see what's going on. We're on all the usual ones: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Go on, give us a plug there if you've got the handles.
Well, you can find us at Black's Brewery. For the most part, you'll find us there on all the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're all there, and you can feel free to reach out to me as well personally. You'll find me on social media platforms. You find me on LinkedIn and all the rest as well. So if you want to get in touch, absolutely delighted to hear from everybody and anyone who wants to just to find out more about Blacks or just shoot the breeze really. Yeah, and I'd love to field a few questions if there's anyone who wants to just poke fun at me, feel free. Or if you want to,
I will say I'll leave the comment section to muse on their own questions. But I will say if you are enjoying this whiskey tonight and you're say the guys in Schneem or if you're in Moneygall or wherever you might be, and you pop into your local off license and they don't have Blacks or any of the whiskeys we're trying tonight, start asking them. Off licenses don't buy things if nobody's asking for them. So if you know that you want to have some Blacks whiskey in your local off license, start asking them, because the next time someone from Grand Cru or Blacks pops into that off license, they'll literally the manager, the bar, or the off license owner will say to themselves, there's loads of people asking for that. I have to buy a case or a few bottles or whatever, because people don't buy things that aren't being asked for. So make sure you go in and ask for all the delicious things you want to have. Gary Connolly is asking about the potential of visiting your sites as future distillery. What might be in the pipeline for people that want to come and show their love in the homestead?
100%. I mean, we're still developing the new site, so let's say summer 23, we should be good to go with the visitor experience. In the meantime, if you're coming to Kinsale, pop me a message on any of the social media platforms there. Be happy to give you recommendations where you can find our products. May even be happy to go for a drink with you if I'm that way inclined. We're really open and we love to connect with people who are passionate about the same things as we are. So yes, there will be tours and visitor experience in the future. We're not quite there with it yet, but feel free to get in touch.
And I suppose how are the plans developing for the distillery and visitors experience, and what might it look like when it is complete?
Yeah, plans are going really, really well. It's a journey, it takes a bit of time when you're developing a new site, and we pretty much have to, we pretty much have to build this whole thing, but it's started now. I would say we'll be producing in the new site probably in January 23. And then once production is up and running, it'll be a step-by-step process with shop and tour and bar and what have you. So
lots of different licenses.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot, and look, there's the whole safety element and all the things that go with it. But the really cool thing, this is going to be a site on the water, so we'll have beautiful views. It's a spectacular location. All going well. We'll have a festival there next summer. We have great space for festivals, for outdoor and what have you, and it'll be all about fun. I mean, that's what we're all about, So we'll try to keep it really, really fun. Try to keep it really entertaining. Try to keep it really fresh. Yeah, so it's super exciting. For people who know Kinsale, it's on the marsh. That's where the address is. Looking onto the water. Yeah, it's cool site. And for the region as well, it's great. I mean, there's so much kind of going on in the southwest of the country now. So I can really see this. A whole tourism element developing around the whiskey world, I suppose, in our part of the world, in the southwest, Cork Kerry region, or whichever way you want to put it. But it's fantastic, really exciting time to be involved in it.
Absolutely. I don't know if it ever came up in the local area, but there was one of the big three Irish whiskey distilleries in the country almost relocated to Kinsale probably about 10 years ago at this point. it would have been a monster complex. So it would probably would have blacked out the sun at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Well, I didn't know that actually, but good to know. I don't think what we're going to produce is going to black out the sun, but hey, it'll be nice. It'll
It'll
be
be
really
fun.
cool. Yeah, lots of shiny toys. No, I mean, look, when we're up
Yeah.
and running, we'd be really, really happy to have everyone down, and I'm always open to to getting to know people and sharing
Exactly.
passion
One of the most beautiful parts of the country. Even the big boys try to move themselves there. So you're clearly onto something good.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it all go. But so far so good, Matt.
Absolutely. So if you're going to leave people with something about this whiskey, you want to the kind of the last key points that you want to drill into the heads before you go. What should people remember about this beautifully? I'm going to pull up the picture again, but feel free to tell us what should people take away from Black's Triple Threat Blend.
I would say drink it today, and then give it a day or two and drink it again, and really form your own opinion about what you think about it. I mean, I hate to be preachy when I'm talking about our products. I really like to encourage people to enjoy it, taste it again, and really make up their own minds and their own opinions. And never tell someone they have the wrong opinion or what have you. But what I would say, what my feeling is, it's a lovely, lively, really drinkable whiskey. Have fun with it and play around with it, and if you're into trying to make drinks at home, why not try it with an old fashioned? Work with it, play with it, and have some fun with it, and drop me a line and let me know how you get on.
Absolutely fantastic. I think from the comment section we're seeing a lot of love for this, for both the nose and the palate. I think people are really pulling together all the three different casts in it as well. So do keep an eye on your email inbox, guys, because at the end of the show, if you are a 3 Drams subscriber, this is why are you here? If you're not, you got to get this subscription. You get the box to your door. You get to meet wonderful people like Darren, try his whiskey, and then you get a discount code at the end. No brainer for me. But guys, thank you so much. Darren, thank you so much for your time, and I am delighted to have been able to experience and showcase your fantastic whiskey to everyone, both watching live and watching back after the fact.
Thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate it
very much. Thank you. So I am delighted to be able to scoot on from one brilliant whiskey onto another. This is, if anyone's heard me talking online, either be on Pot Still or on 3 Drams, McConnell's is a brand that I love talking about, and I am delighted to be joined by Sarah Kennedy. So Sarah, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Listen, we couldn't keep you away at this point. I did have an applause track lined up for you, but you told me not to play that, so I'll only play a little bit. There you go. Delighted to have you on the show. So Sarah, first things first, I know you're newly promoted within the company, so congratulations. It's my first time to be able to say that. So what was your role and what is your new role? Where are we going to be seeing you, I suppose, showcasing your talents around the world?
Firstly, can I say thank you that you didn't play the applaud track whenever you said that? Because I said to Matt offline that it was probably the most patronizing applaud track I've ever heard. But yeah, so I started about 2 years ago with McConnell's, and Matt, you followed me at that stage, and were very supportive. So that those 2 years were incredibly hard for anyone working in the industry with COVID. So I started with McConnell's as a brand ambassador, and my life as a brand ambassador was probably very different from your life as a brand ambassador, Matt. So it was very much online, and I didn't get as much of the experience of being a brand ambassador, but I had a fabulous experience. It was quite unique, starting 2 years ago. So I really enjoyed myself. And then for 2 years, I was very proud of being the McConnell's brand ambassador, one of the first employees in the company. So I'm honored to be able to be there from day one. And recently I've been promoted as such, if that's the right phrase, but I've been given a new title as the brand manager. And when you work for a company which is thank you.
That's for you, Sarah.
When you work for a company that's really just starting, but it's very exciting for Belfast, you do, it's all hands on deck. No job is, I go from a brand ambassador and then all of a sudden my job changes overnight and I'm a brand manager. That's not the way it works. So I will be still doing a lot of what I did as a brand ambassador, but there's more elements to my job now in terms of developing the brand, working with creative agencies, helping organize the trade shows that we go to, which I had been involved in very heavily before. But as the brand grows, it's more intense. Everything gets a lot more busy. So really, it's just the next step in my career. And I appreciate you mentioning it today.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem. As you said, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing the first day you put up your first Instagram and your LinkedIn posts. You were saying off camera that this is probably the first time that you're really getting out to meet consumers in the trade shows and whatnot. I know you were telling me before we came on the kind of heavy travel period you have coming up here, which certainly makes a difference to 2 years of things like this behind the screen. I think people are ready, they're vaccinated, they're caffeinated, they're ready to go. They just want to be out there and meet people at the whiskey festivals.
Yeah, of course. This year, by the end of this year, I've made 13 trips abroad, which is crazy for me. And my well, averaging out there, at least once a month. So, but it's been fantastic. It's great to see new people. It's actually great to see different markets and how they work. It's not the same as it is back home. I actually got out in Belfast for the first time since summertime, and it was really nice just to be back home and to talk to people back home. And it reminded me that I really loved my job on day one, working with the home market. But getting out and meeting new people in different countries around the world is incredibly exciting. And it's a wonderful opportunity that I never thought that I would get. So I really appreciate working with McConnell's, and I really hugely appreciate the support that I get and that I have continued to get since I started with McConnell's. It sounds silly, but completely beyond my imagination of how I thought that my job would go with McConnell's. So I do appreciate that. And I think the company is wonderful, and I think the company has so much potential.
Well, before we go any further, I'm going to say, as I see people are already jiving in, so we're going to be looking at Dram Iver Gaw here, number 2. I am going to pour a little into my glass, and then I'm going to ask you. Yes, exactly. That you're bang on the money there. We have our little Whiskey Wednesdays glass here, lovely Tua glass.
Oh, lovely. I have a little Dram glass that Rosie sent me from Tua, and it's my favorite.
That's fine. The two of us can have our Tua glasses. Big shout out to Rosie and Tua glass, keeping the Irish whiskey industry in crystal glassware. So I'm going to nose this, and I might pull up the bottle again just to show everyone what it looks like. Before I do so, you made an interesting point that I wanted to touch on there. That you're getting out of the home market for the first time. I like to think that, or at least it's my observation over the last kind of 10 years, that in the home market we're very convinced and consumed of the success and how great and giant Irish whiskey is, and you're kind of getting out to the international markets, be it the US or Europe or Asia, for kind of some of the first times and over the last year. And it's a different story. And I was wondering how you've experienced it and what you think it is like seeing us going up against the international markets. And I'm also going to pop a bottle because the bottle's class.
Yeah, cool. The bottle's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Look at the way the light hits it, just absolutely stunning.
Photographer right there.
Yeah, so with working with the export market, it is very different. Hugely different, even from country to country. Just for example, I was in Austria at the start of the month at Liquid Market, and I taught so many people about the Irish whiskey industry. I introduced a lot of people to the Irish whiskey industry. So that's very different to my experience when I go to New York, where everyone knows so much about the Irish whiskey industry and they follow it very closely. And they nearly know more than some of the people that I meet at home about the Irish whiskey industry. So depends which market you're in. And even last year, the first trip that I ever took with McConnell's was to Bar Convent, Berlin last year. We're going back again next week. Berlin is an amazing city. I actually fell in love with it as soon as I went there. And we were one of the only Irish brands at Berlin last year. Now, I know that was because of COVID and there was different reasons why some of the brands couldn't come to the show. But being one of the only Irish brands at the show, it meant that we got a really good platform to speak about McConnell's and also to speak about Irish whiskey. And I just thought that whenever the opportunity to go to Bar Convent this year again came about, I was like 100%, because I had a fantastic experience at Bar Convent last year. So working in the export market teaches you so much about how you need to appreciate working in the home market, because it is very different. But also you're received completely different in each market that you go into. Not only about, the brand itself or the whiskey and how it tastes, but even whenever one of our biggest selling points is that we are bringing a distillery back to Belfast and trying to bring whiskey heritage back to Belfast City. And some people don't even know where Belfast is whenever you're in the export market. I mean, a lot of people don't know where Belfast is. So you're teaching people about Belfast City, which to me, as a person who's from Belfast, thinks that Belfast is this wonderful big smoke, and that's not what it is whenever you step outside.
Epicenter of your world anyway.
Exactly. So it's a very different world in the export market. So
exactly. Well, I am going to say sláinte, and I'm going to deep dive into this glass because I'm very excited. While I'm having a little sip, why don't you tell us about the makeup of this, what the spirit is, and what it's been matured in and for how long? So I'm going to say a little sláinte, a little look at the spirit there.
So with the first release that we brought out, and I know we were on 3 Drams with it, and I hope everybody listening has got a chance to try the McConnell's original 5-year-old with the green label. So what we did with our second release is that it's just a slight step in our journey towards innovation. It's not hugely far removed from the first release, is what I'm trying to say. Flavor profile wise, it's hugely different from the first release, but in terms of what the actual spirit is, it is a blended Irish whiskey, and it's a split between Irish grain and Irish malt. So it's 40% malted barley and 60% grain whiskey, which is the same as the original blend. It is the same liquid that is aged for 5 years in first fill bourbon casks. But the difference with this whiskey is that we give it an extra 6 months in an Oloroso sherry cask. And those Oloroso sherry casks we get in from a cooperage in Portugal. And they're 26-year-old Oloroso sherry butts, but they've had different Oloroso sherries in those sherry butts over that 26-year-old period. But they're very old. They've got so much characters on them, different flavors, different notes. Those tobacco notes that really come through, and the chocolate and the cherry notes that come through. So they've got lots of character. And whenever you say it's a 5-year-old whiskey, a 5-year-old blended whiskey in bourbon, and it only has 6 months in Oloroso sherry, you get a ton of Oloroso sherry coming through on the nose. It hits you straight away. It's quite a pronounced spirit for being, a young enough spirit. It's not, one of your 20, 30-year-old single malts, but it's got characteristics that really hold it. And what I think about whenever you're drinking a really balanced whiskey is that the flavor palette really marries well with the nose. So on the nose, I think, Matt, it might have been you who actually highlighted this to me. And whenever you highlighted it to me, I thought it was just an incredible note that it's got this musky note to it that is musky, not in a negative way, but in a really positive way, in that it's got this leathery, musky tobacco note that comes through, which really comes from the Oloroso sherry casks that are used. And it wasn't until I visited back and got to nose the second batch of the Oloroso sherry, that I realized that the differences that you can get from cask to cask whenever you're doing Oloroso sherry casks, and the finishes that you can get. So on the nose, yeah, you get the cherry notes, the dried fruit, the figs, the chocolate, but you also get that musky note that you spoke about whenever I first spoke to you about the product. And do you agree on the nose that you get a lot of that sherry punch?
You do, and it was funny because before you said that about the musk, it was exactly the next thing I was going to talk about, because it's in a lot of industries is imbued or conferred as a negative point, but for this, for whiskey in general, but in Irish whiskey, that musk, that leather, if very much embodies a lot of the kind of older sherry styles, and that it's funny to me because I've been working with sherry class for a very long time, and this, for me, the smell on the nose, and I'm always perplexed that it's only 6 months in sherry. If you told me it was 5 years in sherry, I'd be even as equally convinced. But for me, that smell is walking into the bodega warehouses in Jerez, and it's the smell of the sherry and the cask, like the muskiness of the casks and the cellar systems, pardon me, that have been there, 20, 30 years, that the kind of, it almost imbues the fragrance of the room even more than just the wine itself, of all of that fantastic smell. So it's a very interesting whiskey. And there's a lot of flavor. There's a huge amount of flavor going on. And I see Alan in here in the comments saying there's so much going on: cherries, fruit, spice, fantastic dram. So, I mean, I'm going to have to agree with that. And I'm delighted that my musty sherry note stuck with you, because I really enjoyed it.
I tell it to everybody. Sometimes you need a little bit of I spent a lot of time trying to write the notes for this, and I did have a good hand at writing the notes, which I find, again, there you go, is another opportunity that is fantastic for me to be able to try a whiskey and write my own notes for a whiskey. But the musky note is incredible, and it's something that I add to anytime I'm speaking about it across the world, because it's universal. Everybody knows that musky, leathery note that comes through, and people agree with it everywhere I go. But also, if we're moving on to the palate of the whiskey, it does marry well with the nose. I know a lot of people have tried the palate already, but some people say it's got that raisin note straight away, and it does have that raisin note that you would get with an Oloroso sherry cask, but it also has the musky note that comes through, and it's on the nose and it's on the palate, because I definitely get that, and it's what makes the spirit it's got a longer finish, and it stays in your palate for a longer time than even I would have expected. The first release was brilliant, and it's got lots of citrus notes, and it's got the vanilla and honey. And I just find it really interesting how much the whiskey can change after being in a cask for only 6 months. Now, there is a few other differences on the whiskey, which is it's 46%. And it's 46% because we wanted the product to be non-chill filtered, because it gives more of a mouthfeel, and it just, the product is raw the way it should be. But any more than 46%, I think it took away from those sherry notes that you were getting. We've tried a cask strength, and I think that 46% makes it perfect where it is. You get still a lot of the Oloroso sherry notes, but it's still got a lot of sweetness to it, and it's those raisin notes and the dark fruit notes that come through, and the demerara sugar.
Absolutely. So for me, there's I'm a big fan. Again, I'm going to pull up the bottle once more. There's the design that's got into this bottle, and I've talked about it on the previous 3 drams. I love this bottle. I love the liquids that go into it. If people are in this run up to Christmas season that whiskey people so fondly know as SOND or OND, September, October, November, December, Where are people going to be able to find it? Are you sold out, Sarah? How much does it cost? Tell us all the secrets, and let's see where we can do it. Because of course, Irish Malts will drop this directly to your door. But if you're not so lucky to be in an area that Irish Malts can do that, where might people look?
Okay, so this product specifically, forgetting about the 5-year-olds, which is available just widely. This one is a little bit more limited. It's not hugely limited. It is batched, so we do it in batches. And in the European market and in the home market, we have limited stock. And we have, as a company, as Belfast Distillery Company, the company that owns McConnell's, we don't have any of the product left in our warehouses, but we have sold it into our export markets and our home market. So it is on the shelves with Irish Malts online. We're also available. I'll be spending some time in Dublin over the next 2 months trying to, broaden our availability of the sherry cask in the on-trade and off-trade within Dublin, Cork as well in the market. Up north here, I'm from Belfast, and the brands from Belfast, we're available widely with the sherry cask. And then whenever you're thinking about the export market, the UK, Austria have it, but they've sold out. It is online with a number of the online outlets.
Irish Malts.
And Irish, I said Irish Malts at the start.
I know.
But
You just mentioned online retailers. I was just
online retailers.
Irish
Malts.
I don't know what
we have it available in Irish Malts. It's available on a lot of the onlines, and there are other online retailers available, that sort of thing. But it is definitely available with Irish Malts, and we will be bottling this product again in November. And we'll have more available, and then we'll be bottling again in February. So it is a core product, and it will be available again and again. And we will get to a stage where it is widely available and it's not as limited. But for now, this release specifically is just slightly more limited. So if I were anyone listening tonight, I would get on Irish Malts and order it before Christmas, because we'll be out of it pretty quickly. Because it's a great product. Exactly, and it's 55 euros, so it is a reasonably priced product, and it's got a lot going on. It's got so many flavors, characteristics. It is a batched product. We do use Oloroso sherry casks that we have there. It's wonderful notes that come through in the whiskey, and it's a brilliant present as well if you're coming up to Christmas time and you're just trying to figure out what you're wanting to get for someone. Because you've tried it tonight and you know that it tastes incredible and it's got a brilliant nose. And it just created a lot of conversation for us whenever we brought it out for the first time.
Listen, Darren and Seamus in the green room, take notes here. This is Christmas selling 101 now. But no, fair play to you, Sarah. You said 55.
It's red and our other bottle's green, so it's literally the two colors of Christmas.
Look, couldn't have said it better. In Ireland, you said 55 euros, and then what is it in punts?
Punts?
Pounds. Irish word for pounds. Yeah,
it's 40 pounds up here.
There you go. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
and in the UK, so.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. In the comments, do let us know if you are still tasting what you're tasting here, because I think we're having a lot of fun tasting these whiskeys so far. There's so much flavor going through these that I think, as Sarah said, a fantastic Christmas present for anyone, be it red or green, or if you're feeling very festive, both. Because what do you think, Sarah? Why not both, really?
I mean, it's I'm going to do it. I'm going to send everybody, just to let anyone know who's watching this who knows me, they'll get a bottle of red and green for Christmas. So,
listen, two bottles of whiskey Christmas. You can't go wrong, really, at that point.
No, not at all.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. I know you've a special birthday weekend, not for you, but for people in your family. So you're off celebrating now. So I really appreciate you giving up your time. I hope you have a fantastic weekend celebrating, and thank you so much for showcasing your whiskey.
Yeah, I'm just about to celebrate Andrew's 21st birthday, so I'm just.
it's an important day for the young man who's definitely.
Okay, thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Bye.
Well, listen, lads, we are steaming through this evening some fantastic whiskeys. We've had two very different whiskeys. Our first at 40, our second of 46. We have had different flavors of triple cask into double cask. Now I am really excited to welcome Seamus Curtin from McCarthy's Irish Whiskey for Dram number 3. And I'm going to say a very big welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Listen, I am doing okay. I am sitting here. The chat section is having a great time. I'm having a great time. I think we're excited. I think we're ready for your whiskey. As I always do, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and your company, and I'm going to pour a little bit of Dram number 3 into the glass here. So I won't keep people waiting. So feel free to join me, people in the chat. And Seamus, over to you.
Yeah, lads. Good evening, everyone. As we say down our neck of the woods, just tear into it. Don't wait for me to do my spiel for you to have a taste. But just in terms of who I am and who we are, I'm one of 4 guys that we knew our paths crossed in business over the years, over a good few years. We came together about 5 years ago in 17, and we started. We wanted to get into the whiskey business together, and the first thing we started doing was buying stock. So one of the guys knew John Teeling from old, and it was relatively early time in Great Northern. We went up there, and we were fortunate enough to start the process of laying down casks, mainly single malt. Unfortunately, not enough pot still, as it turns out, but yeah. So we were building up a small but a nicely growing inventory of whiskey sitting in Dundalk. And of course, the plan was to build a brand and build a business around that. One of the guys involved is a John McCarthy, and we wanted a name that would travel well. There's a lot of Irish people in Ireland, obviously, but there's a lot of them around the world, and we all know in the last 3 years how strong the sector has grown, and how many new entrants have come into the sector and Irish whiskey. It's interesting that Sarah made the point that some markets. That they don't know an awful lot about us as a country, and even in terms of the whiskey. And I'd agree. There's a big world out there. We haven't penetrated every corner of it yet by a long shot. So there was 2 reasons, I suppose. There was McCarthy's. I have relations with McCarthy's as well, and there was a strong sort of family resonance about having it as a brand that we would use, but we also wanted something that was kind of uniquely Irish and synonymous with being Irish. And I remember, I don't know if any of you I read a book about 20 years ago called McCarthy's Bar, and basically a guy called Pete McCarthy wrote it. And the premise of the book, it was a travel log book, but you should never pass a bar with your name over the door. So our sort of message is that, there's enough of them out there that you should never let a bottle of whiskey go that has your name on it without buying it, So that's kind of a little bit of the story and the brand behind it. But we kicked on then. We have a good partner in the US. We're reaching into some kind of strange markets as well. Like we're trying out in the Nordics. We got a listing in Italy. We have a premium blend, which is also on Irish malts, which is kind of the staple, and it's going down very well. It's always a struggle to get your price point right when you're dealing with retailers, and the bigger the retailer you go to, the lower the price point. For small independent, exactly, and for small independent guys like us, you just can't compete. So our strategy really is to have a blend that sits in or have a family of whiskies, which we've kicked off with our blend that's going well in about 5 or 6 export markets at the moment. We're not selling in Ireland other than true Irish malts, and to be quite honest, we're happy with that for now. But in addition to the premium blend, and I suppose that brings me to what you're all tasting there, hopefully, we wanted to be sort of build a bit of traction in terms of getting single malts out there over a period of time. So that brings us to our.
It's gonna pull up the picture of the bottle here for you as well. Be a little bit clearer for people at home. There we go. So tell us a little bit about what this is. It's 5-year-old cask strength single malt, 59.5% ABV. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. I'd recommend, if anyone is interested in buying, to buy the 2 bottles that we have on the site together, because you can really experience the contrast between the two, in terms of the one being a nice, drinkable, very easy, very palatable blend. It's well put together. There's a lot going on. There's a good bit of virgin and a good bit of sherry and so on. That's in our blend. But what you have tonight is it's big and it's punchy, and I mean, there's some wonderful things, including tonight, being done with cask finishes, and I suppose trying to provide that little bit of finish and complexity to a single malt. But we like what they do above in G&D. We think that their whiskies are very well cut. We've been in and out of a good few distilleries over the years. They're technically very good. They know when to cut their heads, hearts, and tails, in my opinion, anyway. And the product that comes out is really good. So this is the first of what we hope will be many single barrel releases. We will be doing cask finishes, but we wanted to kind of start with something original, and just basically, this is a barrel that we bought 5 years ago. We plucked it out from the back of the warehouse and did a limited release. We got about 280 bottles out of it. So we could have cut it to 46.
It's not just
sorry,
cask strength, but it's also a single cask. Is that correct?
It is single cask, yeah. Now we may expand that and do a 46 range, but we want to bring out at least 2 or 3 of these every year, and I guess next year we'll do a 6-year-old and so on, all with our own stuff. So that's part of the story as well. This is our own stock.
Fantastic, and I suppose that also adds to the saleability there, being a single cask. I'm gonna say Sláinte. I'm gonna have a little taste of it here, as I see some people in the audience. I'm gonna give a little sight of the color of that as well. I see people are already diving in, so I say Sláinte, and I'm gonna have a little sip. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what to expect in a whiskey like this?
Well, because it's cask strength, approach with caution. First off, is the key, and I think you hopefully got some experienced whiskey connoisseurs on tonight. Yeah, it's when on the nose. I mean, it's like you'd expect from a single malt. I think there's tropical fruits coming in. I'd love to hear your own comments on the notes that we're picking up and of the guests on the show, because it can be quite subjective. So I wouldn't have thought of it. Somebody said there's a bit of mango in it, and it's definitely a tropical fruit thing going on. And when I think the power suggestion can often influence the tasting notes, but it is quite fruity on the nose. But I think there's also that sweetness, that biscuity flavor that you get from a good triple distilled single malt. So I think you're definitely getting that on the nose. In the sort of the middle end, it's kind of given away to sort of the more spiciness coming through. I think the fruits give away a little bit. It's a little bit clovey, and then the finish is not massively long, but it's solid, and it leaves a good bit of heat. The great thing then about a cask strength is that you can play around with it, and it becomes, if you add a little bit of water, which I'm going to demonstrate very scientifically for you all.
There you go. That was a pre-measured amount, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's exactly 46 now.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's all of a sudden it does change a little bit, and certainly it's more it's more approachable, and I think that's. So I think actually when in my opinion with this one, when you water it down, it doesn't shorten the finish. You're still getting bits of vanilla and bit of butterscotch as well. So yeah, it's we wanted to just bring, as the first single barrel release, we wanted something that's very, I suppose, honest in its sort of in its provenance and its purity, and put it out there for what it is. And the one thing we'll definitely do going forward is, we have enough barrels put away, we'll do a 6-year-old next year and a 7-year-old. And if we're back here in 5 or 6 years' time, we can review the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Listen,
and see how they
look
change
forward
over
to it.
time.
We'll have a whole 9 drams just for your expressions then through the years.
Yeah.
When when people are looking online with Irish malts or in any of your export markets, what kind of price point might this retail at for those looking into the Christmas season? Don't mean to drop that word, but it's keep an eye. And just for the people out there who are watching, it's the first time I've said that word this year, but it's people are releasing whiskeys now. I'm not saying that this is released at this point for that market, but people are releasing their whiskeys for the kind of run up. Keep an eye on Irish malts for things like McCarthy's, because you're going to miss out if you leave it until December 10th or something like that. You know, that this is prime season to keep your eyes out for some special releases, because even just today I've had 5 press releases sent to me for whiskeys launching today. So it's certainly a time to wind up and get your hands on a bottle of McCarthy's. But sorry, Seamus, for those who are going to get their hands on a bottle of McCarthy's, what kind of price point might they be looking at?
Yeah, so the €5 what we're drinking tonight, the Cask strength single barrel, is retailing for 85 on Irish malts. But I guess the discount code will apply tonight as well. I mean, by comparison, our premium blend is listed at 36. So my advice to anyone that's considering buying a full bottle of one is buy the two, and you have a little family, and you can compare and contrast and experience the two together. And so you know, it's a nice bundle. It's a bit like the green and red that Sarah was talking about earlier.
Exactly. So, sure. Look, you'd be have no problem then on a Christmas day with your cocktails and your cask strengths with that. I suppose the people who aren't in Ireland or with availability to Irish malts, I know you mentioned a couple of export markets. Where might people see you around the world? Where's the kind of the hub for McCarthy's?
Yeah, we're selling quite a bit in the US, but unfortunately we were beaten to the punch in terms of the naming. So we call it Muskery in the US because there is a McCarthy single malt out there. So in a way, I kind of use the analogy that, you know, it's a bit like the Bulmers Magners, where it's Magners in Ireland and Bulmers in England. So in the US, McCarthy's is sold as Muskery, and it's pretty strong down in it's pretty strong in Texas because our importer is based there, but he imports into New Jersey. So, you know, we'll be trundling our way stateside over the States and hopefully over next year quite a bit. Italy, we've got a good listing in Italy. We were selling small quantities into Austria. It was one of the first markets we went into, but it was kind of a niche market, and the COVID situation at the time was pretty lousy timing. We're talking to some good guys in the Nordics and down in the Balkans as well. So nothing in France actually, and not really in Germany. But we're
not yet.
Not yet, no, of course. And we're a small outfit. You know, I'm kind of, if you pardon the expression, the chief bottle washer. You know, so you're kind of doing everything from sales to production to coordinating. We do everything third party, but you know, there's a great community out there amongst the Irish whiskey industry, and you know, I find if you ask someone else in the trade, you know, for help, you often get it. So we kind of, there's a little silent cooperation movement going out there as well. But so we're rolling out. I guess this is a little bit early, but I give great credit to John and the guys in Irish malts as well. That's a bit of a plug, but so much business is going online, and if you can access that, you know, if you can use it as a sales channel, our job really is to be able to build traffic online and divert it into shops like Irish malts to do all the for us. I think it's the way of the future, especially for smaller niche producers. You know, the retail side of it, the on-trade, the off-trade, that's all about, I guess, you know, swimming in the right waters in between a really small guy with a couple of bottle shops and the Lidls and Kauflands of the world. In a lot of countries, there seems to be some good operators in there. It's just a question of investing the time and the resources into building the relationships and pushing your product. But yeah, so, you know, from McCarthy's, you know, there's a sense of, it's a good name, you know, it's a good, strong, powerful Irish name. We have a bit of a sense of duty to do the right thing if we're going to put a whiskey under it. We're not the only brand in the world to put a stag's head on it, but on the coat of arms of the McCarthy's family, there is the stag's head is there in its original form for the last 500 years. So there is that sort of implied history that we'll build on to hopefully keep going. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at, you know.
Oh, fantastic! And a great insight into the business as well. I like where you say the kind of the competition of the industry, that people, while technically are fighting it out on the shelves, no one's particularly fighting it out in the background. So that's nice to hear. Well, Seamus, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pull up the bottle again for people to see. A very striking bottle there as well, and certainly not going to miss that branding on the shelves. McCarthy's 5-year-old cask strength single malt and a single cask at that. Make sure to watch out at the, I suppose, actually about 7 minutes ago, you should have got a discount code directly into your inbox for anyone that is a subscriber to 3 Drams. Anyone watching live, thank you so much. I'm delighted that you were able to join us. Anyone watching after the fact, as always, I am delighted you're able to join us after the fact, and do let us know either by email or in the comment sections what your thoughts were as you go along. And I'm seeing that Vitaly is enjoying it a little diluted, which is great. And again, as I say, your taste in whiskey and what you enjoy is completely subjective, and that is why we like to see your comments in the comment section. Mike D, always watching in with fear of COVID. He says his taste isn't gone, but the graw is. So he says it's a shame you couldn't taste, but he wouldn't have done true service. But don't worry, Mike, I'm sure you have the kit there for when you're feeling better. And Peter, I thank you for your kind words, for having a great evening. Of course, it is all thanks to the guys at Irish Malt's 3 Drams, and of course, our guest that joined us, Darren, Sarah, and of course yourself, Seamus. We can't do this without you guys. As I say every month, I show up. I'm the smiling face, shaking baby, kissing hands. It's the guys at 3 Drams and Irish Malt that do all the heavy lifting on the back end, and yourselves to give up your own time. So I really appreciate it, and thank you so much, Seamus. And I hope you've had a good evening.
Cheers, folks. Thanks.